gotten through my own therapeutic journey, but it's a journey.
It is a journey.
It's a journey. It's a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
And so, but like flashbacks and just like, I was very angry. I was extremely angry.
Yeah.
And I was very defensive. And you know how everyone's like, I'm my soft girl area, soft girl area. Like, I'm fighting for my softness every single day because I had to protect myself. Yeah. One of my favorite Bible verses is Genesis 50:20, where it talks about like the enemy meant it for evil, but God meant it for good, for the saving of many lives. And when I started my psychotherapy practice, that was the verse that God gave me.
I love that.
Yeah. Because for the longest time, I was like, why me? That was the question. I was, why me? Why did I have to go through this? And I don't have an answer to that question, but what I do know is that God doesn't waste anything. So therapists are not just for when your mental health is not well.
Deep.
In fact, it's more beneficial. Let me word that. It is, I would say more beneficial for you to begin therapy when you're not in crisis. Because what therapy does is, and I think this is one of the misconceptions, like I feel like people think that therapy fixes you. You're not broken.
Oh, my inner child.
You're not broken, but there are things that we navigate in life or experiences that we have that cause us to show up in the world in a way that is what our body and our mind are trying to do is protect us. But sometimes those protective mechanisms are harmful in the long run, right? And so what therapy does is it equips people with the tools to navigate the difficult things so that they don't have to lean on the unhealthy
negative
versions of their protection.
Today's episode is both powerful and personal. We're going to be unpacking mental health, how trauma leads to purpose, and navigating all of that as a person of color. Our guest today is very special and a trailblazer. She's a registered social worker, a psychotherapist, and the founder of Breanna Chanelle Therapeutic Services. She here is encouraging us that our voices matter and our stories deserve to be heard. She has been featured on different platforms such as City News as well as Toronto Star, and she has been at different institutions such as University of Toronto and Humber College. So please join me as we welcome the incredible Breanna Chanelle Phillip. Welcome. You look good.
So do you.
Oh, thanks. So how are you doing?
I am well. I'm well.
Nice.
How
nice.
are you?
I'm fine.
What does that mean?
That was actually the first question I was going to ask you. So put on your psychotherapist hat on. What does how are you really mean? And how do people actually answer versus how should they be answering?
Yeah, I think it means different things in different settings. I think in most cases, how are you is just a greeting, like you say it because it's like a formality.
Like a filler.
Yeah. Right? And that's why when I do like ask my clients how are you, I actually usually have to ask it twice. So the first answer is the answer that they usually give. And then I say, okay, so how are you really? And that's like a permission to actually share what's going on. Yeah.
So it's like a what's happening in your life or how are you feeling at that moment?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, psychotherapist. Okay. You're from Grenadan, right?
I am.
I know. Very proud. And you were born there, right?
No, I was born here.
You were born here.
Wow. Because I barely from Canada. But I consider myself to be Grenadian. Both my parents are Grenadian, born and raised. And I was raised in a very Grenadian household. So I happened to be born in that.
Wow. So how do you relate so much with like your people back home? Like how is that like?
Yeah. So my dad came to Canada when he was 19. My mom came to Canada when she was 14.
Oh wow.
The majority of my dad's family is actually still in Grenada. So I feel like because of that reality, we were always like speaking to family back home. My dad was very big on like telling stories about back home. So like even before I went to Grenada, I had a vision of like what it looked like. And like I speak a lot about like the resilience that happened in migration. That we realized, but like we literally keep families together with phone cords. Now it's WhatsApp calls. Yeah. Well, like, oh, we have to go buy a calling card. A calling card. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Yeah. So I think that like the fact that my dad has always been very, both my parents, but more so my dad, because most of his family's still there, has been very adamant about us understanding what life is like back home, who our family is back home. That really caused me to be inclined to like really understanding my family, culture, lineage, heritage. Funny that you asked me that, but I actually saw a picture of my great grandmother for the first time yesterday. Wow, I've not actually seen a picture of my great grandmother actually. But that's cool. Yeah, I cried so much. Oh, there's a whole story behind it, but yeah. So, tell me. Yeah, so basically, she kind of left back home and kind of never returned back home. Oh, wow. So my dad was raised by his great grandmother. So my great grandmother. Wow. Yeah, so that would have been her child. Wow. And yeah, she kind of like she went to England and she never returned. And they never knew what happened. She never knew. My dad said that she would always hear her like asking, because her husband would come and asking her like, "Where's my daughter? Send my daughter back. Send my daughter back." And she just never got to see her daughter again. Oh, that's so sad. Yeah, and so because she kind of like wasn't like nobody really knew what was happening, we didn't have pictures of her. And so yeah. How did you get a picture then? So my dad's in Grenada right now. He just went back. And my grandmother had a picture. So she always had the picture, but I think what happened is that when my dad initially asked for it, because it's a coffin picture, my dad doesn't like coffin pictures. And so he had said, I don't want to see her in her coffin. I want like a live picture. But then I started asking and like, I want to see. And I think that's how he's like, okay, fine. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Tell me about your first time in Grenada. Oh, you trying to make me cry. I see what you're doing. Okay. Yeah. There's something about being in a place where you are recognized as belonging to people of that place. The first time was just like, it was like new but also familiar because of the story. Yeah. Right? So it was like my dad would tell us like, oh, like we went up this hill, down by the tree, and it was like I was able to put like visuals. Yeah. Yeah. It was like reading a book and then watching a movie. Oh, yeah. That's actually so special. Yeah. How old were you when you went? The first time I went, I was like 1. But the first time I remember, I was about 13. Okay. You're young too, but yeah. Nice. Oh, okay. All right. So tell me about growing up. I know you mentioned you're in a household with so much memories of Grenada, but you're in Canada still. Yeah. And how many siblings you have? 2? I have 3 siblings. 3 siblings. Okay, nice. So tell me about like growing up. Like, how was it like with your parents here, having family back home, and them trying to figure it out here with you guys? Like, how was that? Yeah, I had a very like joyful childhood. Like, I remember. So we used to live like now we live we live in a house now. We used to live in like a 2-bedroom apartment. And there was 9 of us in that 2-bedroom apartment. 9 of us. So at the time it was my 2 sisters, my parents, my 2 aunties, and my aunties. Okay, so 8, and my aunties, 2 kids. Whoa! And there were 2 bedrooms. And every time I say that, we were like, "How?" But it was the best time of my life. Oh my god! Like the best, like all of my favorite memories are from that house, that like living situation. Wow! And then we moved into a bigger house, and I remember like for the first couple months, I couldn't sleep by myself because I was so used to like yeah. Honestly, like that happens a lot more than you actually realize. Like
so many people in one bed. I don't know how we figured it out, but we did.
And it was a good time. Like it was just so like communal. Like that's what I described it like. It was communal.
Your
like,
people were there.
Everything together.
Yeah.
We have. It's so funny now because I'm like everybody has TVs in the room. We have one TV, okay? And
in the living room.
In the living room.
Not in your room.
I still don't have a TV in my room. I still don't have a TV in my room. Yeah. Fair. So it was very like jovial, communal. Like our house was even when we had a 2-bedroom apartment, our house was the gathering house. So we had all the dinners.
I love that.
All the events. Yeah. So that kind of changed when we moved further from everybody. And after a while, I guess, the person who throws the party eventually gets tired.
Yeah, I was like, girl, I'm going to come to your party.
But yeah, I think if I were to describe my childhood in one word, it would be like.
And how did that shape like your career choice? Like how did your childhood with community shape like what you chose to do in your career?
I never thought about my childhood shaping. I don't know that my childhood shaped my career, but I think that my childhood shaped the things that were important to me that then led me into the career that I'm in. So, connection is very important to me. Compassion, empathy, care, like showing care, relationships, like all of those things are very important to me. And so I feel like that naturally kind of aligns with therapy and social work. And then also being of Caribbean descent, like our history, there's a lot of like, obviously like the transatlantic slaves trade and that sort of thing. So I was also very interested in like history and understanding like what the history of my people were. And so that then aligns with like understanding what mental health looks like for Black communities specifically, and the impacts of things like anti-Black racism and slave trade and that sort of thing.
And like when you were growing up, were they mix of both men and women living together, or was it just your dad and then all women?
Just my dad. He's a star. It was all women.
Wow.
3 sisters, my mom and my dad, my aunties, and her 2 children are also girls. She has a boy now, but at that time,
wow,
girls and my one dad.
Wow. I'm sure he's just like, geez, but I'm sure he's such a girl dad.
My dad is the epitome of a girl dad, and it's funny because he always talks about like every single pregnancy. He would like, oh, this is the boy. This is the boy.
No boy.
But he now says he would never have any other way.
Oh, I love that. That's actually so wholesome. Yeah. That's good. Okay, so Breanna, being like a registered social worker, what does that mean? Like, and how did you get into that?
Yeah. So the registered part just means that I am registered with like the ethical body that keeps us in check.
Okay.
So the Ontario College of Social Workers and Social Service Workers is like the body that we are accountable to. And so if I piss somebody off, they could report me.
Well,
so yeah, but I haven't.
That's good.
So that's what the registered part means. But in regards to my journey into social work, I did an undergrad in family and community social services at the University of Humber. And then I did a master's of social work at University of Windsor. And yeah, that allows me to then practice social work as well as psychotherapy. But everybody's path is a little different. Some people do like an undergrad in social work, like a bachelor's of social work, which is actually what I thought I was doing, but I got bamboozled. We won't talk about that. Yeah. But it was okay because I always knew that I wanted to do my master's anyway. So it was like
fair, I guess.
Exactly. But I remember the first day of my undergrad, and it wasn't just like everybody thought we were getting a BSW, a Bachelor of Social Work, and the first class they were like, "Yeah, so this program does not give you a Bachelor of Social Work," and we all said,
"What?
Sorry, after
you played us."
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, some people who didn't have plans of doing their masters were like, "What are you gonna do with this degree now?"
That's crazy.
Yeah. It was wild. But yeah, my trajectory is actually It's funny because I actually took 6 years to finish my undergrad, which should have been 4 years.
Why?
So there were a lot of hiccups. I also had to take some time off just with like financial restraints and that sort of thing. In that time off, I started like a community organization called Soul Tree. I was like, look, I'm gonna take this time off. I'm gonna do something powerful with it. I was always very dramatic. Yeah, so I remember like when I realized that I wasn't gonna graduate for an extra 2 years, being like, oh, like I'm late. I'm running late.
I don't know why that's the thing.
Well, because that's what schools tell us. When you're in elementary, it's like you gotta prepare for high school.
Yeah, you have to go to college.
And then you get to the end and you're like, we all don't know what we're doing.
Like, why did you rush me? I could have taken my time.
Right. Yeah. But that's something I often share, like with people who share that like urgency. It's like I finished my undergrad in 6 years. It should have taken me 4 years. Then when I applied for my master's, I didn't get in the first year. So then I was like, oh my God. I just spent so much time in school. But then when I look back now, like, not that comparison is what we should use to give us comfort, but I do recognize that like the people who I thought were ahead were all in the same place. Yeah. I had the opportunity to explore different things that they haven't. So just remember that you're not running late. You are on time.
Yeah. So, tell us about Soul Tree. What was that like?
My God. It's like a time capsule now. But yeah, so as I mentioned, I was always very interested in like history, particularly Black history, and understanding like how we got here as a Afro-Caribbean girly, like understanding that like, oh, like we didn't get here by happenstance. Mm-hmm. It was a whole massacre, for lack of a better word.
Facts.
So, and my mom was also very much into that stuff as well. And so we used to go to this bookstore in Brampton called Knowledge Bookstore. And they are a Black-owned bookstore that has like a bunch of books by Black authors.
Love that.
Yeah, and so she would go and I took interest, so we would often go together and we would read, like we would get all these books about like just Black history and that sort of thing, and we would have like me and my mom, like we would have our own discussions and stuff like that. And then I decided that like I want to have these discussions with other people. And so yeah, I started like a discussion group. And the first session was actually at Knowledge Bookstore.
Oh, that's actually nice.
Yeah. Then I started to do like events. And then I did like my first like major event. It was called Don't Shoot, where we spoke about police brutality. Yeah, and it was really cool.
And this was pre-COVID?
Yes, this was pre-COVID. This was 20. Oh my God, I don't want to get the date wrong, but it might have been like 2014.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is like yeah.
Wow.
Almost over 10 years ago.
Yeah. No, time is just flying.
Yes.
You're still young, girl.
Yeah, that's what Soul Tree was. It was just really me sharing the things that I was passionate about and like engaging in it with other people. Since then, I lost access to my Instagram account. And also, I'm in a different phase. I feel like I would like to believe that Breanna Chanelle Therapeutic Services is an extension
of that. Yeah, I love that. So, social work. Like, I'm finishing high school. I like community. I like people talking. I feel like empathy is such a big thing. Like, how do I know that how did you know that social work was for you?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't know. But when I did like careers and civics, you did that.
Yeah, in high school, yes, yeah. Actually, grade 12.
Yeah. Yeah, so initially I wanted to, because I've always loved children. Like, I always loved babies. And so initially I wanted to be an adoption agent. And I had told my teacher that, yeah, like I love kids. I want to be an adoption agent. I want to help babies find good homes. So I thought it was at that time. Then think about what child welfare actually is. It's a whole other rabbit hole. But, yeah. So when I told my teacher that, they basically told me that like that's great. However, with the way that technology is going, those types of things are actually going to be a lot more online. And so some of those jobs might no longer exist. And then they said, have you thought about social work? And that was kind of the beginning.
That's such a good
yeah,
counselor. Like,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And that's the beginning of like me even
thinking about it. Yeah. Okay. And when you did your master's in social work, did you know you wanted to be a psychotherapist? How did that happen?
I actually said that I would never be a psychologist.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah. Yeah, so my best friend is also a social worker. And like, so since high school, we both knew we wanted to do social work. And she was always like, yeah, I want to be a psychotherapist. I used to be like,
yeah, no. Let me sit down and be talking to people.
Right, but the reason why I also felt that way is because I never saw Black people in therapy. And like I said, I've always been passionate about supporting Black communities. And so for me, it was like, what am I doing in therapy when my people aren't there?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that? And then when I went into my master's, where there's a lot more like critical and like analyzing and that sort of thing, I realized that like, oh, the reason why I don't see my people in therapy is because there are no Black therapists. So, and there's a whole narrative like therapy's for white people. Like, it's not for us.
It's not for us.
And that used to annoy me, but it's partially true.
Okay. Yeah. Let's hear you out.
Therapy, in the way that it has traditionally been practiced, is catered to white communities. That's just it's Eurocentric.
How?
The methods that we learn in school, every single one of the theories are by white.
Of course.
White men.
Of course, the men.
Right? And the studies that are done are usually not done with us in mind, right? And additionally, the ways in which we practice navigating our mental health are not considered to be sophisticated. So things like music, things like dance, things like conversation, things like storytelling that are very pivotal and monumental in our communities are not considered to be what they call peer review, right? So because there's a lack of research of the ways in which we navigate mental health, we don't see those things practiced.
That is so true.
Right? And so the ways in which it has mainstream in practice, yeah, it does cater to white communities. However, that's why representation in therapy is important, right? Not just because I look like the people, because I understand their context,
their background and stuff.
Yeah.
That's so true. Wow. And for like psychotherapy, did you feel qualified to be that? Like how did you feel confident enough to be like I'm gonna do this and actually gonna start?
I didn't feel qualified. Sometimes I still don't feel qualified, to be honest. I know I have the paper and stuff, but sometimes it is nerve-wracking. Like, this is Susie's whole life. Yeah. Like, this is not play. Like, this is not the product.
This is not it.
Like, no disrespect to people sell products, but like, this is literal human life.
Yeah.
And the trajectory of human life. So sometimes I don't. Like right now, I don't feel qualified. It's not so much that I don't have enough knowledge or I'm not like nothing like that. Just more so like I don't know what I'm going to hear. And how am I going to support this person navigating that?
Navigate that.
Yeah. In past, it's been, like I mentioned, like the things that we learn are very Eurocentric. The standards, like of professionalism, for example, are very Eurocentric. And I just don't operate like that because it's not helpful for our communities. It actually causes a disconnect.
Yeah.
And so when I am more personable, when I speak to my clients like they are people and not subjects.
Yeah. They're not just numbers.
Exactly. That's what works. But based off of what we are taught, professionalism says that you keep a certain posture, you show up a certain way. And so at times, like, I struggled with like doing things that I knew were good for my clients, but then feeling like, oh, but I'm not aligning with professional.
Wow. So how did you navigate that? Like, how like looking back now, like what did you do that was different, or what did you do that stayed the same?
I'm still navigating it. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I do still like have that struggle, but I think what keeps me grounded is the reality that clients keep coming back, and clients are telling me that it's helpful. And my job at the end of the day, beyond anything else, is to make sure that I'm doing what's best for my clients.
Yeah,
and that is my focus. And so, if I'm continually assessing and saying like, is this beneficial to my clients? Yes, keep doing it. No, stop doing it.
Fair. Yeah. And like, do you get continuous feedback? Like, how do you know that you're on the right track, or how do you know that you need to pivot in some areas?
Yeah, so one of the things that I tell my clients in consultations all the time is that I'm human and I'm also growing and learning, and our interactions are collaborative. And so I have knowledge and understanding in like psychotherapy and how to support people and create that space. But at the end of the day, the client also has knowledge that I don't have about their life. They're the expert in their life.
They know it.
So I always say, like, if there's ever something that I do that you don't like, or if there's a method that I'm using that you just don't feel like is helpful, or if there's something that I say that you were offended about, you can tell me. And we adjust that way because each client is different. And so something that I do with one,
it doesn't work for the other.
Exactly.
So I'm me and I'm just living life. How do I know that my mental health is in check? Like, how do I know that I need a therapist or I don't need a therapist? Or do I just get a therapist just because? Like,
it's a good question. So therapists are not just for when your mental health is not well.
Deep.
In fact, it's more beneficial. Let me word that. It is, I would say more beneficial for you to begin therapy when you're not in crisis. Because what therapy does is, and I think this is one of the misconceptions, like I feel like people think that therapy fixes you. You're not broken.
My inner child.
You're not broken, but there are things that we navigate in life or experiences that we have that cause us to show up in the world in a way that is what our body and our mind are trying to do is protect us. But sometimes those protective mechanisms are harmful in the long run, right? And so what therapy does is it equips people with the tools to navigate the difficult things so that they don't have to lean on the unhealthy
negative
versions of their protection, right? And so in the same way that runners don't start preparing when they're about to the race, they practice, they train, they make sure that they have whatever materials that they need in order to be successful, the right running shoes, the right clothing. It's kind of like how it is with therapy and mental wellness, is that like it's an opportunity to prepare because life is always happening.
Life is life and
life be life. Okay? And when we have the tools, it doesn't mean that life doesn't life anymore. But one of the biggest indicators that therapy is working is that even when things are happening, you are okay. In the sense that you're able to navigate it without entering into a crisis, right? So it's like one of the things my clients say is like, it's weird because like things are still happening, but I just feel better. Right? And it's not because things are no longer happening, it's because you have the tool to navigate things without going into crisis.
So for someone that's religious, how does one navigate like having faith and like prioritizing my mental health? I feel like it's a struggle.
And I think that the narrative has always been, or not always, but for a long time, I think we're getting
pray about it.
Pray about it. And if you do access anything that is outside of prayer and the church community, that you don't have enough faith. I think something that's important for people who do have a spiritual connection is to recognize that whatever happens like on earth, like the relationships that you have here is going to impact your relationship with God. So if you have, for example, daddy issues, how do you have daddy issues?
Oh, daddy issues.
And then, how do you have daddy issues and then call God Heavenly Father and that doesn't impact the relationship you have with God?
That's so true.
If you have abandonment issues, right? How do you navigate when prayers aren't being answered in a certain time frame? When you're struggling with abandonment, like then is God abandoning me, right? And
that's true.
This idea that it's one or the other is very harmful because it's actually, we need both.
Yeah.
Right? We need to be able to work through our earthly experiences so that our relationship with God can be healthier and that we can actually like be intimate with him and not feel like we have to protect ourselves from harm in that relationship.
So, being like a psychotherapist, was there like a personal experience that made you feel like you can relate more with people? Or was there a personal experience that you have that made you feel like maybe you're not qualified to do this?
How long do you have?
Oh, we have time, girl.
Yeah. So I think it's both. Okay. So the one experience that both made me feel like I could relate and also made me feel like I was not qualified is my experience with sexual trauma. So I was molested at 14 for a time, then again at 21. And that experience, not just the actual happening of it, but also like the way it was handled later, was extremely painful for me.
Handled by who? Yourself or family or?
By the adults in my life. I didn't feel like at that time that it was handled in the way that I personally wanted it to be handled. In fact, that was after that was the first time that I went to therapy. My parents found a therapist who happened to be also a pastor, and it was the worst experience of my life. Because what I was basically told was, well, first of all, I spoke for maybe 5 minutes.
Of course. Of course. And was it from your own pigmentation? Okay. Okay. All right.
And the focus was very much on needing to understand that everybody else is processing this thing and that I need to see their efforts, because I was explaining that I didn't feel happy about the way that things were being handled. And it was very much around you need to recognize that people are trying.
So you're the patient, not...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was this when you were 14 or was this when you were 21?
14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my first experience, my first personal experience with therapy was horrible. Very horrible. Extremely horrible. But yeah, that experience, that sexual trauma experience, that led to a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, a lot of just some of the things that I navigate right now are still a follow-up of that, because something that people don't understand often about sexual trauma is that it doesn't leave, that's your body. It's the there. Body that you still have to live in and exist in. And so I still it's gotten a lot better. I've gotten through my own therapeutic journey, but it's a journey.
It is a journey.
It's a journey. It's a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
And so but flashbacks and just I was very angry. I was extremely angry. Yeah. And I was very defensive. And you know how everyone's I need my soft girl area, soft girl area. I'm fighting for my softness every single day. Because I had to protect myself. Yeah.
How would you say that made you relate with the opposite sex?
Yeah. For me, at that time, it was very much anything that felt like it was trying to control me. I was
no. No.
Because it felt like a re-traumatized. It felt like I was in that.
You're reliving it again.
Yeah, because for me, my response to sexual trauma, there's a whole fight, flight, freeze, fawn. I was a freezer. And so for a long time, I was very upset with my body and myself. We're you didn't defend yourself. And so that defensiveness that came after was well, I didn't defend myself then, so I'm going to do it now. Opportunity that I have, I'm going to be in defense. So it was for me. It was for anybody around me. I was fighting. Maybe I was a fighter. Okay, we still trying to work.
Yeah.
But it was bad. It was real bad.
Wow.
It was bad.
How did you find the courage to first, I guess, share with family or people close to you, and then share it publicly?
Yeah. I didn't find the courage for a long time. I didn't. I actually never said it. So it was asked to me, and I could like my response made it very obvious that it had happened.
Wow.
But I never actually went to someone and said, "This is happening to me." An adult asked me, like, "Did this ever happen?" And I just started crying. And so, yeah, that's how it kind of came out. So did I find the courage to share it? Not really. I didn't really share it. Yeah. And then even when it happened again, like I've always been very aware, and this is probably a part of my trauma, but I've always been like hyper aware of like what's happening for everybody else. So, sorry. So for a long time, like when it happened again, I didn't want to share because I was like, I think at the time I was like, oh, my mom's really coming up. She just started this course. I don't want to read it for her. I don't, everybody seems like they're good right now. So I don't want to be a disturbance or a burden. And so it was really difficult for me. I did eventually choose to share the second time around. But it was difficult for me because I was just always trying to protect everybody else. Yeah.
Except from yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. You're stronger.
Thank you.
You're strong. And like sharing it publicly, because a lot of people don't. And I feel like that silence alone is like giving the perpetrator the power. So how did you come in terms with like, okay, this is something that I'm choosing to share?
Yeah.
Not because, just because I know that it will help someone out there. Like,
initially, my sharing was a part of the defense. So initially, my sharing wasn't even about like awareness and advocacy. Originally, my sharing was like, I'm gonna talk about this because I didn't defend myself in the moment. So this is a way. It wasn't coming from a healed place at all. It was coming from a place of like, I don't have anywhere to share this. If I had a therapist at the time, that would be great. And so I do believe that some of my sharing probably was more harmful than helpful. Because I was sharing from a very angry place. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that I made a decision to advocate and share in that. Like I was advocating, but it was very much like,
I think you were.
Yeah.
I think you were.
Yeah. It looked different than I would right now, than it would right now. I was advocating. I think the difference is now when I advocate, I'm advocating for others. At that time, I was fighting for myself. And so that looked like calling people up. I feel like they're being pedophilic. Like it was very angry. It was very aggressive. It was very... I also wrote poetry. Like that was also an outlet for me. So I would write. Yeah. But my poems look very different than now. Yeah, I think it's very... Actually, for a while, I struggled when I was in a different... Like, when I started to go through my healing journey, I felt like I don't know what to write anymore. Because I was writing about
pain. Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. In your process of then becoming a therapist, or actually, let's backtrack. When I say therapist and a psychotherapist, like what's the difference? Like,
yeah, so psychotherapist just emphasizes like what type of therapy we're doing. So like you have a physiotherapist that they do.
Got it. Okay.
So psycho just means therapist of the mind, essentially. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So you being you going through your healing process, and then deciding that you wanted to be a psychotherapist. How was that? How were you able to navigate that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I always say that I wouldn't want a therapist who's never been to therapy. And the reason why I say that is because I know for myself, had I not gone through therapy and had an outlet to work through my own stuff, I would have inevitably use the space that my clients were using to work through this stuff to work through my own stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Right? And I don't think that that's healthy or healthy, right? And so, like, actually going to therapy was pivotal. Like, I would not be a very good therapist if I didn't. Yeah. And I think going to therapy is where the advocacy turned from for me to for others. One of my favorite Bible verses is Genesis 50:20, where it talks about the enemy meant it for evil, but God meant it for good, for the saving of many lives. And when I started my psychotherapy practice, that was a verse that God gave me. I love that. Yeah. Because for the longest time, I was like, why me? That was the question. Was, why me? Why did I have to go through this? And I don't have an answer to that question, but what I do know is that God doesn't waste anything. He doesn't. You're such a vessel right now. You are actually a vessel. I know. I'm fangirling right now. But okay. All right. So if I was to say, okay, I want to be a psychotherapist, how do I start that? Like, what do I do to be that? Well, now, the first thing I know is I got to go to therapy first. Absolutely. Like, I can't help somebody if I didn't help myself. But what are the things you think they need to know? Just like on what you said, like going to therapy, not being able to help somebody if you haven't helped yourself. I think that other piece of like, nobody wants to buy a product from somebody who's never tried it. Period. And for me, it's always like, why do you feel like psychotherapy is good for everybody but yourself? Like, to me, that means that there's a power. There's a power imbalance. Yeah. That's a little bit weird. So I just wanted to also say that. But in regards to process, so for social workers, once you have a master's in social work, you can automatically practice psychotherapy. You can come into that master's. Like, there are people who were in my master's program with me that didn't do social work. So some people did psychology, or some people did something completely different. But as a social worker, once you have a master's of social work, you can practice psychotherapy. The key is knowing your scope, right? So you have the ability, but within ethics, like, you should not be practicing outside of your scope. So what that means is that, like, for example, if you are not well trained in eating disorder, don't be taking clients who are struggling with eating disorders, because you're going to do them. So are there like different disciplines that you have to study, or like? Yeah, so there's a social work is pretty general, but there are like specific trainings, for example, that people do, or like for me, I had a lot of experience specifically working with anti-Black racism and oppression and that sort of thing, and so that's kind of like my niche. Like, people kind of know me for that. I can also work, like, because I have the education and I've done some trainings around like anxiety, depression, that sort of thing. So like it's a generalist type of degree. However, like, as an ethical professional, you have to know this is an area that is your strength. That is my strength, or not, because then you're just gonna end up taking people's money and not helping them. Exactly. So, or supporting. Exactly. Exactly. So that's the kind of, so with social work, you can do social work, master's of social work, and then you're qualified. There's another route that is a master's of master's of counseling psychology. That one is a little bit more rigorous, because people who do that degree, they also have to do a CRPO exam, so like a professional exam after, and they have to have a certain amount of client-facing supervised experience. Oh, wow. So a lot of times, like, you'll see, like, there's sometimes psychotherapist profiles will say psychotherapist qualifying. Qualifying. Yeah. So when it says psychotherapist qualifying, it means they're done with schooling, they're working now to get the hours, but they're still like professionals. Yeah. Wow. So they're different routes. Yeah. And I finished masters in social work, for example. How do I start? Like, are there like companies you have to work for, or like, do you just become a therapist on your own, like private practice? Like, how does that? Yeah, so I mean, people do it differently. As for me, like, I started working with another practice first. The thing with like owning a psychotherapy practice is that it's both, yes, you're a professional, but it's also a business side of it. Like, there's a lot of logistics that go into it.
And you don't want to.
I was running from that for a while.
Yeah.
Deal with all of this. But yeah, so you can practice psychotherapy without like being a part of a psychotherapy practice. Like you can work at a hospital, you can work as a school social worker, which is still like doing therapy sessions, just in a different setting. So a lot of people like the hospital route.
True.
Yeah, like you can do it without having a practice or without even working at a practice. So I was a child and family clinician at an organization for a while. Like I've worked at different organizations where I'm practicing those skills. But then when I graduated my master's in 2021, I was approached by a psychotherapy practice and they were like, oh, we'd like you to join the team. And so that's kind of how I started. And then after a while, I was like, okay, like I think I need to be a big girl now.
Yeah, you can wear your big girl hat.
Yeah, so there's so many different ways. Like social work is so vast. There's so many different like ways in which you can practice it, but you don't have to have a practice in order to utilize this.
So how has your experience been since you started your own practice? And like, yeah, like just tell us how your experience has been.
Yeah, it's been really amazing. Aww. I have the best team ever. Like, it's literally God, like genuinely, because there are a lot of great therapists. But I was looking for a great therapist who understood my mission when it came to supporting Black communities. And the therapists that I have two amazing therapists. Shout out to Tish and Tahira. I have two amazing psychotherapists on my team, and they get it. Like, they really get it. And when I was doing my interviews, I was very specific about, like, my questions weren't like, oh, what I don't know, method do you use? What? Like, that wasn't what I know you have the degree. That's cool. Okay, so how do you approach speaking to a Black parent about their child getting a psychoanalysis? Those are the things I want to know, because those are the areas within our communities where we struggle. Yes. People don't want to admit that their kids need help. Yeah. There's so much shame around that, right? We also have to take into consideration our experiences with systems and the medical system and what kind of fear that brings. And so those were the things that I needed my therapist to understand so that we could really do the work that we want to do. And they get it. They just get it. Yeah. And then my sister does my admin. Oh, yeah. So shout out. My sister. Shout out. She's been my admin girlie for since I started. Since before I started, actually. So like she was there from this. And she was actually one of the people that, so when I left the other practice, I actually was like, oh, I think I'm gonna join another practice. Like I wasn't gonna start my own. And she was like, no, start your own. Start it. Like, she's a backbone, like all things logistics. She does all those things. So it's been really amazing. I also had like so many amazing other Black therapists really pour into me, like send me documents, like, okay, this is what I use. Like, just like a floodgate of support. I love that. Yeah. So it's been amazing. It's been difficult. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure. But it's a challenge that feels good at the end. It's not a challenge that makes me feel like it's not worth it. It's so worth it.
So how do you like manage clientele? So like I go on your website, I want you, but there are other people there as well. So like how do you like manage like that?
Yeah. So that was difficult in the beginning because when I started my practice, I never had the plan of taking on therapists at the time. Like, and it happened all so quickly. So I branded myself like on social media, people know Breanna Chanelle, but as in me. And then I created Breanna Chanelle Therapeutic Services, which sometimes I'm like, I feel like I shouldn't have given it my name. I feel like that kind of
just makes it, yeah.
But what I do is that like I really like tell them about the therapist. Like they align with everything that I do, which is why it's important, like who I have on my team, because I can genuinely say they align with everything that I believe. They are as amazing, maybe even more amazing than I am as a therapist, and they really get it. And so it's been pretty, like, people have been pretty open. Like, once I say that, and once I am able to say, like, listen, I trust, like, you trust me, I trust them.
Yeah.
And they're usually good.
Wow. Yeah. And, like, this is your full-time, like...
No, I work full-time.
Okay, tell me about that.
Yeah, so I work full-time at a college in Toronto. as a student conduct advisor. So it's like it's in like the policy area. So yeah, I work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And I also run my practice.
Girl. Yeah. So how do you manage to do that? I want a session on Tuesday at 2:30 p.m.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, so how it works is I work the 9 to 5. So I work hybrid. So 3 days in person, 2 days at home, which is in Wednesday and downtown. And so I work my 8:30 to 5, and I do clients 5 to 8.
Wow. That's a lot of talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
It's a lot. It's very taxing. But like when I do leave at 8 p.m., I feel like I did my day's work.
You did it.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's good. And your full-time job, do you actually like it, or like is it just something that's giving the money right now?
I do. I love my team. I love my team. The area, like I really wanted to try policy. Like I had worked with policy in different ways in regard to advocacy, like specifically advocating around diversity, equity, inclusion. I worked at a high school as a graduation coach for Black students, which really looked at like what do your policies look like? How do they align with anti-oppressive practice? And so I dabbled in policy, but I really wanted to like get my hand more in policy, which is what led to me exploring. There is a tension that exists working in policy, which has which is deeply rooted in oppression, while also being very like social justice. So the way that I view it is that while I am working in policy, that it has a history of anti-racism. Yeah. Sorry, has a history of racism. Particularly anti-Indigenous and anti-Black racism. How I see my position is that I am a student conduct advisor, but I also have the opportunity to call out when these policies are oppressive. Wow. Yeah. So I enjoy it from that stance. It's a lot of paperwork, which I hate.
I don't think it's anyone's favorite.
Oh my God, it's the worst part of it. I can't stand paperwork. Yeah. So that part of it I struggle with, but it's a great learning experience.
And like in terms of calling things out, like in general or just even in your place of work, how do you summon the courage to do that? Because I feel like a lot of people are silent to what they want to speak up, but they just...
Yeah. I think that's when, as I was healing, I had to lay to rest the defense weapons. But that doesn't mean I can't pull them out.
Girl, very essential.
So I gotta reach back and pull them back out. And yeah, I do not. Injustice is something that I can't stomach. Like, it's not even like you summon the courage. Like, it would be more courageous for me to shut up. I just can't. I just can't. So I don't even know if it's courage. It just...
I think when like you're designed for something, it's just what gets you really upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
It's really upsetting.
I love that.
Yeah.
One last question. In terms of mental health in Grenada.
Yeah. Oh.
And like you like being like in the front and center of that. How was that received in your community?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I haven't dabbled too much in working with mental health specifically in Grenada, particularly. My family has been very receptive. Like, my family has, like, they love everything that I do, and they're very supportive. I mean, you know, my parents, like, they're number one fan. However, I think that a lot of times people like the idea of a thing more than they like the thing. And so I think, like, right now, as much as, like, my family, and when I speak my family, I'm not just talking about my immediate family, in general. I think they love that I'm a therapist, and it's really cool. But if I were to be like, so are you going to go to therapy?
No,
they'd be like, oh,
I don't know. I don't need it.
Like, we all need it. I know our family history. But So it's an interesting thing to like navigate. I'm very excited for the point in my career where I do get to do more work, particularly in the islands, like in the islands, because that's something that we need so desperately. I'll get there.
Yeah,
I agree though.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, it's so key. It's so key. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Breanna. We do have some audience questions.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna read it and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay. So the first question. Hey, Breanna. I'm Ghanaian and I'm in my mid-20s. I've been battling with anxiety for a while and I recently started therapy, which has been helping a lot. The problem is I come from a deeply Christian home. My parents think I'm going through a spiritual attack and keep telling me to fast, pray, and read more scripture instead of wasting money on therapy. I believe in God too, but I also believe in getting real help. It's hard not to feel torn between my faith, culture, and my mental health. How do I honor all parts of who I am without losing myself or my peace?
Woo. That is loaded. That is loaded. I think that culture, I know that culture is extremely important. And I also understand the dynamics of like dealing with parents of Afro-Caribbean, like descent. Like I understand that all of them talk about like boundaries. I always laugh because I'm like, boundaries where?
Like you guys don't have boundaries at all. But let me not get into that.
And that's one of the things, like, as a Black person, I'm not going to tell my, Afro-Caribbean client, like, set down parents. That's a death sentence.
Yeah.
But I would say that I think it's also important for us to decide what parts of our cultures resonate with us. It's very difficult. And like there's so much nuance, and I could never answer this question fully without knowing this person. But like things that I would say to start thinking about is like, okay, what parts of my culture do I resonate with, and do I feel like I want to continue holding on to? And what parts of it am I like, this doesn't sit well with me? No. Because culture is not perfect. There's so many flaws in culture. Yeah. And I think sometimes the tussle is like, I know that this thing is wrong, but I'm still trying to hold on to it because I'm trying to hold on to my culture. And I think we need to recognize that we can hold on to the parts of our culture that are healthy and release the other parts. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that would be the first part. In regards to faith, she says real help. I just want to emphasize that like God is real help. Yeah, he is. He's real help. Like he created therapist. Yeah. So he's real help. And I think that just that, like in the same way that God gives people the ability to do surgeries and to treat us for colds and diseases and cancer and all that stuff, he's also gifted therapists with the ability to support us through our mental health. And so it's not either or, it's both and. Both and. Yeah. Both and. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the second question. Hi, Breanna. I just finished my degree in social work and I'm excited, but also low-key scared. Everyone keeps saying the field doesn't pay well and the burnout is real. I really want to help people, especially youth and immigrants, but I also want a stable future. I'm worried I won't be able to make ends meet or grow financially in this field. How did you push past that fear and start building a career that actually works for you?
That is a good question. And that is something that people always say, like, social work doesn't pay well, like that sort of thing. And there are sectors of social work that don't pay well. Like the non-for-profit sector, maybe they struggle because they're going off of grants.
Yeah, like government grants. Like.
Exactly. And we know that the government is shaky. So
based on terms.
So what I will say is, the first thing I'm going to say is that there is money. The second thing I'm going to say is don't focus on the money.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah. I think that what has actually got me to this point is the fact that I have not focused on the money. And don't get me wrong, I know that bills have to be paid. Yeah. I completely understand that. But I also believe that money runs from people who chase it. Oh. If I was chasing money, I would not have walked into the role that my first social work role. I was living in Brampton. My first role was at a youth shelter that was in Richmond Hill. I didn't drive, and I did not have Go Buzz money.
Girl, for context, Richmond Hill is far from Brampton.
Far. So that looked like me traveling 3 hours there, 3 hours back to work an 8. So that's 6 hours. I'm working an 8-hour shift.
Oh, geez.
To many people, that makes no sense. Even my parents were like, girl, are you sure?
Are you okay?
Like, I remember my dad being like, are you sure? And I was like, yes, I am sure. Because I wasn't looking at the money, I was looking at the experience. Right? And had I not done that, every other experience that I had later wouldn't have come because I had something to put on my resume, right? And so what I would say is, yes, of course, money is important. And I'm not saying do things for free, but I'm also saying, like, what is the impact that you hope to have? And what is the route that's going to take you to that impact? And God will take care of you. Like,
meant to that.
Because I ain't gonna lie, there was times when I was like, I don't have bus money.
Yeah, this dollars. Yeah.
It was not cute. I will also say that I had the privilege of having a very supportive family, and like I live at home and that sort of thing. So I do recognize the privilege in all of that, but it doesn't take away from the reality that, like I said, like when you're chasing money, your life is likely to continue running from you.
Yeah.
And when you're chasing money and you're working in a people-centered field, the reality is that your work is going to, like, the quality of your work is going to diminish because of that anxiety that you have around, like,
I'm gonna
exactly. So it's probably not the answer that person wants to hear.
Yeah, I know, but it is what it is. Don't chase the money. Wow. Okay. Wow. This has been so wholesome. I enjoyed every moment with you, Breanna. This has been good. We do have one last section. It's just a game.
Okay.
Let's go. And then we'll wrap it up. Okay. So it's this or that.
Oh, okay.
So you just choose either or, and we can talk about it if you want, or we don't have to. Okay. So the first one is group therapy or one-on-one.
Ooh, group.
Group. Why?
I'm a community girly.
You said that.
I love community. Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. Virtual sessions or in person?
In person.
Wow. Wow.
Right now, I'm only doing virtual.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Brave in person.
Aww.
Well, we have their picnic, so it's like you can have your session as a picnic with your therapist.
Oh, that's so cute.
So that's my attempt at, like, moving onto that in person piece because we don't yet have a physical location.
Oh, I love that. Okay, setting boundaries or giving grace.
Oh, you can't choose. But if I be honest, like, personally, I probably lean towards giving grace.
Yeah, I feel so. Yeah, I feel so too. Self-care day. So either Netflix binge or nature walk.
Nature walk.
Oh, hate walking. Okay, speaking at a panel or facilitating a workshop.
Facilitating a workshop.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tough love or soft support.
Oh, soft support.
Yeah. Cares about tough love. Client shows up late or client trauma dumps at 1 minute.
Trauma dump.
Yeah. You can handle it. Yeah. I love that. I should sign up for. Okay. I don't believe in therapy, uncle, or pray it away, auntie.
They're the same. What's the choice?
They are the same. Literally, you pray to me, you'll be fine. Fair. Okay, setting boundaries or explaining why boundaries matter.
Oh, explaining why boundaries matter. Yeah.
Okay, last one is cry with the client or keep it cute and professional.
Oh, we crying. We all in. It's not everything.
Everything. Oh, I love it. Well, thank you, Breanna. This has been really, really helpful. For everyone out there, just take notes. You can't chase that money. You know, it will keep running. Do it from a passion. Do it from a place of passion. Mental health is very, very important. Don't start looking for therapy when you feel like you're in a crisis. Start now, because you don't know what's going to happen in 2 seconds from now. But I think this has been really, really helpful. And I think it's very imperative that from an Afro-Caribbean background that mental health should be more looked into than it is right now. Yeah. Do you have anything else to say to us before we round up?
First of all, thank you so much. This was a really good conversation. What do I have? Last words. Or not last words. But I will just say that I think what we started with, your story matters.
Yeah.
And not only does your story matters, but your story deserves to be told by your own voice.
Okay, well, thank you, Breanna. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and share.